On this episode of DC On Screen, we have word from Ben Affleck. Also, a special announcement from us right after this.
You think of Earth as a singular planet. In fact, it is anything but. For this is a story not of a universe, but a multiverse. Where universes and planets, such as Earth, were replicated and mirrored across a vibrating, infinite plane. Some barely different from the next. Others drastically so.
This is DC On Screen. Every week, Dave and Jason talk about the multiverse of DC properties on film and television. But be warned, if it's been officially released, you can expect they'll spoil it.
Welcome in to DC On Screen, episode 530. I'm your host. Yeah, we are. A bit long in the tooth.
Yeah. We're long, definitely at the point where 1,000's really the only benchmark we're worried about. It'll be years.
Yes, it will. I'm your host, David C. Robertson. This, the man who once turned himself in for killing his imaginary friend,
Hi.
Jason Goss.
Sad day.
You were so, you were like on that. You were like, hi. Like, you didn't even wait for me to say your name. You were so excited to be that guy.
Right. It's good. Yeah, been a nice easy day. I still got plenty of energy.
Good. I'm happy to hear that, man. Because, right up front, we have a big announcement. I have nasal drainage.
It's rough. We're going to get you one of those little teapots.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's rough. Like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's not the big announcement. That's every other week.
Mm-hmm.
But I realize I think I sound a little bit sick.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so just getting that out of the way. But yeah, we're jumping in. We're
diving in.
We have a Patreon.
Woohoo!
We have a lot of people who have come to us and said, "Hey, why don't you guys have a Patreon?"
Which the response was either we haven't thought of it or we haven't gotten around to it, depending on which one of you asked.
Like, we have had a Patreon for a really long time. We've just never put anything on it.
Yeah, like a year.
And part of that was because I think we were just like, what the hell are we going to do on a Patreon? Mm-hmm. Wait, what kind of perks were we going to offer on a Patreon?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it was about that time that a little bit of our formatting was in a slightly transitional period. Mm-hmm. So we were waiting to see how that shook out.
I don't want anyone to get upset. Everything you already get, you are going to get.
Yeah.
For free.
No paywalls for anything you're already expecting or used to.
And by that, I mean, there is one thing that you could kind of argue, but we haven't really done it in a while. Like, for the last several movies, 2 or 3 movies, I guess.
Right.
But look, here's how it's going to break down so far. I guess this is, I assume Patreon lets you change things after you've launched.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But here's how it's shaken out so far. We have two levels. We have 2 tiers, as they call them on Patreon. Mm-hmm. And you can find this at patreon.com/DCOnScreen. You can do what you're already doing and just listen for free, and that's fine. And we love you, and you already have our eternal gratitude.
Absolutely.
But there's the $1 tier that I have called Alms Right with the World. And you'll get it on there, thank you, on our earliest possible news episode. Mm-hmm. And, that's if you're fine with the amount of content you're getting already. You don't want to hear any more from us, but you want to support what we've got. And, then there's the $5 a month tier, or as I like to call it, the Be Alm End Alm.
You really went for it with the alms. It made me laugh, so.
That's the only reason I did it is because it made me... Actually, it made me laugh, and then I thought, I'm going to put this on, and before Jason shoots it down, he's going to laugh. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And then you didn't shoot it down.
No, it was just
so that's what it's called.
Let it ride, man. Let it ride.
But we are going to be offering Patreon-exclusive content. There might be a couple people out there who remember, and I don't know how you remember this, but... like what, 2.5 years ago, something like that, I said we don't ever want to do content that you have to pay for. Well, yeah. We couldn't think of anything else
that's what it is.
In a lot of ways. And then something else is like, there is stuff that I would love to do that like, there's no way I could be consistent enough on it to make it its own full podcast.
Yeah. And like the landscape of what we were covering has changed a ton over the last few years. Yeah. So we've had to kind of juke and jive with it.
Yeah, and it's going to be stuff like, every once in a while I would like to talk about a graphic novel.
Right.
Like we've been talking about doing a Dark Knight Returns or a Frank Miller Batman review.
Or a series. Just go over all of them.
A series with Scott on the Squadcast.
Right.
But where do we fit it on DC on Screen? Mm-hmm. Well, this might be a possible place for it. And I haven't talked to Scott about it, but,
Yeah, minimally it'll be us. I mean, any given time I have a stack about 4 or 5 inches deep of graphic novels that I just haven't gotten around to. Mm-hmm. And I normally have another stack of 8 or 9 inches worth of actual books that I haven't read.
Yeah.
But, yeah, we can dig into some of that.
And DC Universe is like really cranking out their comic book availability over there, and I just bought like 10 graphic novels. They had a deal at Second and Charles for 10 for 10.
Oh, it was fantastic.
I literally bought a bunch of graphic novels for $1
I lit
each.
that thing up. Yeah, I did too.
Yeah, I told you about it, and you were like, "Damn it!"
Yeah, lit it up.
So was Scott too. Like, I had just left Scott's house, Scott from Squadcast, and I was about to leave, and I was like, I made some comment about Second and Charles. He's like, "Well, it's right down the street." And I was like, "Damn it! I thought it was like an exit down." And he's like, "No, it's like right down the street. It's like 5 minutes." So I totally went.
Yeah.
And before I left, I was like, "Scott, you bastard!" And then I went and I saw those 10 for 10, and I sent him a picture of it, and I told him what they were doing, and he was like, "Damn it!" And I'm like, "Yeah,
right.
That's right.
Yeah,
got you back."
Yeah. Like we three must have at least gotten them 10% of their total sales off that clearance little section. And I found some really neat stuff in there that I'm excited about.
Yeah. See, that's the perfect thing. Like that night, I would have loved to have hopped on air and just told you guys about it.
Just geeked out about it. Yeah, I got it.
That's the kind of shit that's going to be on the Patreon feed. We're going to have Jason's pull list. That's going to be a show where you just talk about your pull list, right?
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, I've got a. I actually don't know how many things are on my pull list, but it's on a very, very light week, it might just be a couple. On a big week, it's going to be 8 or 9. I mean, these things are monthly, bi-monthly, sometimes tri-monthly, like Doomsday Clock or something. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it will depend on what came in. And hell, this week I had none because they had 2 50-pound freight shipments of book, and one of them just never showed up. So,
jeez,
my pull list this week was 0.
That sucks.
Yeah.
But yeah,
they'll get me back. Though. They take care of me.
We have at least 2 different shows we're talking about doing. Jason's pull list, that's just all him. And we're doing solo shows too. Mm-hmm. That's all him. Dave's Geek News Musings. That's going to be, I look at a lot of different kinds of news. I love action figures so much. I would love to talk about action figures with you guys, but we just don't get to it because Jason doesn't collect action figures, and this is DC on Screen. It's not, an action figure show.
DC in your hands.
Right. But, and also, I have a Star Trek podcast, but, I can't talk about Ghostbusters or I can, as history has shown us, but it's not generally, smiled upon.
Right.
So anyway, I would love to be able to just, do like 5-10 minute little episodes talking about, some of this stuff, and that'll be in the feed. We're also going to have B-roll. We're going to have our Marvel reviews. We're just going to transfer. That's the one thing I think that used to be a part of the show that we just haven't done in a long time.
And it's still, in a way, we're going to expand it a little bit where we might do Marvel TV as well.
Yeah. Just, however we feel, I think. And
because we do watch this stuff. I mean,
we do.
There's not a Marvel or DC property that I don't think I have at least seen. I mean, short of some cartoon stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not up to date on Superhero Girls or something like that. We've never gotten around to Teen Titan Go, we didn't get to the Teen Titans Go movie, but there's a limit. There's a limit to time, but
yeah, I think that's not to say we're gonna do like DC shows on the Patreon feed because I feel like that's stuff that just needs to be on the
right. I'm just saying there was a limited amount of time, but even then, with the limited amount of time we have, I mean, the only thing. I really do think the only thing Marvel and DC are putting out all together that's not just a couple of shows like that I haven't caught up on is Punisher. I mean, everything else. Runaways, Cloak and Dagger, I've watched all of that. I wouldn't mind talking about it.
at least a season behind on all the Netflix stuff, which, Punisher and Jessica Jones officially canceled now.
Yeah. So there's that.
But anyway, patreon.com/DC Unscreen. There's a lot of stuff that I've kind of had tooling around in my head that I don't really want to mention yet because I haven't talked to all parties involved. But fun stuff. It's basically for people who like us, not just DC.
Yeah, essentially. Yeah. I mean, we're expanding it a little bit, and we're also going to cut down on to be able to do it because we're already really pretty much at max volume that we can do when we're both on mic at the same time and actually producing DC on screen proper. We're also putting it in a format where we can do this separately sometimes, together sometimes, depends on what we're going to be able to squeeze in, and then something we can afford to do as far as time. But anything we actually get will give us more time.
Yeah, and that's kind of the point of the Patreon is right up front, no bullshit, at least for the time being. Anything you guys donate on Patreon is going back into the show. Mm-hmm. It's not going in our pockets. It's going to the show. No. Eventually, yeah, we'd like to make something off of this. We'd like to expand DC on screen and, we haven't really gone into what we'd like to do. If we'd like to do a network situation, we don't know, but we would like to eventually be able to do podcast. Or I would like to be able to do podcasting full time. I don't know how Jason feels.
Oh, it'd be a dream. I mean, if this was a full-time gig, we would still be doing reviews for every episode, stuff like that, and be doing more shows than we had. It's just a matter of we can't afford the time. Mm-hmm. So this would help us afford some of the time, and also produce a better show. We can up our quality, frankly, because we can afford better mics, better software, but simple stuff like that can go a long way. And we do know how to use it. I know how to use better software than we can afford right now. I just don't have access to it.
Yeah, and you know what? Being perfectly honest, the reason we cut back on all those shows because we were doing reviews for every episode of every DC show, and this was before the DC Universe boom, before Batwoman and all that. It was already, I don't know about for you, it was already over 40 hours a week I was working on this thing. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, legitimately.
I just couldn't do it.
Legitimately, it was on an off week, not in the middle of fall or spring TV season. It was still a part-time job. Mm-hmm. And which was, I enjoyed it, but it's still there was a limit where it was we can't continue this.
So last thing I really want to say is, if you can't do this, I understand. I was actually going to make a joke about how your donation will help me afford the $5 a month for the Squadcast Patreon. Honestly though, if you can't do this, I totally understand. And if you want to support the show, I will ask all of you, whether you support us on Patreon or not. I'll ask all of you to share and share our stuff on social media. Tag people when you see that we've made a post. Tag your friends. Let them know if you have friends who would enjoy this, our content. It really does help. You have no idea. Me and Matt on the Star Trek Universe podcast, some guy, he just said, hey, he tagged his friend and said, I've been listening to this podcast and it's pretty great. And his friend is asking questions about our show. So I just go in and start answer because he wanted to know do they talk about the comic stuff? I'm we don't, but we also do. We don't do it on a regular basis. We don't cover all the news for it, but I'm really big into the comics and the novels and stuff. So, and on the feedback episode, we mentioned that guy wound up having a whole conversation about a deep conversation about some expanded universe Star Trek stuff. But, that gets the conversation going, and both of those people are listeners now. So it really does help. It really helps grow the community. And
an example for me is there's a podcast to listen to that one guy told me about. I started listening, loved it, told another guy about it, and me and the guy I told are actually Patreon members of his show. The guy that originally told me has still never signed up for Patreon, but we all still listen. But just communicating that, that was two donations right there. It was a huge help for him.
Yeah, that's a good way to think about it too. Even if you can't do Patreon, you can still share us, and then someone that you told about it. We might sign up for our Patreon. Who knows?
Might decide to help us out, and we appreciate every single bit of that chain.
We absolutely do. All right, so we'd love it if you guys would be able to help. If you can't, we understand. We're not going to hate you or anything. You can still, like, obviously, like, talk to us and stuff, and it's not going to hurt our feelings.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Still happy to have you. Also, thank you for listening this long to a pitch for Patreon.
Right.
Yeah. It was long.
Anyway,
it was a long
let's
time
get to the
coming.
news.
We should start going.
Yeah. All right, so Jimmy Kimmel had Ben Affleck on.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's word, man. Jimmy Kimmel says, you're retiring. You're not going to be Batman anymore. Ben Affleck says, I've decided. I tried to direct a version of it. Worked with a really good screenwriter, but couldn't come up with a version. Couldn't crack it. So I thought it was time to let someone else take a shot at it, and they got some really good people. And then Jimmy Kimmel hangs Ben Affleck's. I almost called him Batman again. Mm-hmm. Hangs Ben Affleck's cape and cowl in the rafters like a retired sports jersey. Mm-hmm. I'll have those. I'll have that link in the show notes. But Affleck says I'm not Batman.
Right. Hey, it's official word finally. I'll take that.
It's official word. I'll take it. I'm sad.
I was sad. I was sad about that.
Even Zack Snyder over on Vero posted a picture of Affleck in his Batman outfit from the Nightmare sequence. And Snyder writes, there was a time above, a time before. There were perfect things, diamond absolutes, but things fail, things on earth, and what falls is fallen. In the dream it took me into the light. A beautiful lie, best Batman ever. Thank you, my friend, for blessing me with that fucking glorious chin and an amazing heart.
The glorious chin thing really made me laugh.
Yeah, that was great.
I also really want Snyder to use more punctuation.
Yes.
Just a thing. Love you, ZS. Just, if you could, I'd appreciate it.
Now, with that, though, this is all I plan to mourn. Because we've hoped that he wasn't, but assumed that he was done for a really long time. This changes nothing about how much I am looking forward to Shazam. It changes nothing about how much I'm looking forward to Birds of Prey. And if we're wrong, and this is not... Because, the Kimmel stuff was kind of jokey. If for some reason he decides to come back, for any reason, I will be happy to be wrong. But I'm pretty sure this is absolute word that he's done, and I'm ready to move on.
Yeah. And his explanation didn't feel... His, would you like to say anything before it goes up, kind of last words, I'm not Batman. That felt like a joke, but it was a good play. But him actually describing the situation and in a way that tracks with the stuff that we've seen over the years. I mean, at first this thing was completely in his hands. Write, produce, direct, star. And as a lot of things do, like that's a big burden to do a Batman movie. After a movie that didn't go over well critically and didn't get the results they wanted in the box office. And then put all four of those hats on, man. Oh, that was a lot. So you kind of get that it didn't work. I mean, I'll take his explanation that he just couldn't crack it. I don't take that. I have no reason to exactly argue with it, though.
Well, Jay Oliva said that Affleck's script, that he read it and it was like, it would have been beloved by fans. Like, I don't think
maybe, but Jay Oliva said a lot of things, and that might just be Jay Oliva liking the script and Ben sort of thinking, yeah, this isn't quite Argo or something like that. Like, he might have thought this isn't really the best I can do and just never gotten to the point where he's like, yeah, I'm happy to present this. That could be his internal struggle. You know what I mean?
Maybe. I don't know exactly what the problem was.
No,
and I'm not going to really try to
they're never going to be able to open up about it because it would be a huge problem for a lot of reasons. Like, he can't go into the details about the script he wrote and what's going on and all that.
Yeah, not right now at least.
No,
maybe in
years.
A few years.
Yeah. But, all right, and we might get something on that. Don't get me wrong. It'll still be a topic. Like, he's going to be addressing Batman for the rest of his life.
Mm-hmm. So moving on from Affleck, though, Revenge of the Fans, Mario Robles, just came out with this report that said that Armie Hammer was in quote-unquote advanced talks with DC and Warner Brothers about playing Batman in Matt Reeves' movie, and they're just, quote, ironing out the details. Humberto Gonzalez came out and said Armie Hammer Batman, not true. Boris Kitt came out and says, I'm not in the business of debunking bunk, but considering everyone got in a tizzy over this, there is no truth to the below. being told there haven't been any actor meetings for the Batman, but that doesn't mean Reeves and WB don't have ideas of who they would like. And Armie Hammer himself came out and said, no one's ever asked. Let me say this. No one who can actually give me the job has asked me if I'm interested. I don't even know if they are done. I think they're still working on the script. I don't think that they're close to production, but I can conclusively tell you that no one has checked my availability, which is a bummer, which tells me Armie wants to do it. But keep in mind also that, Mario is not backing down. Mario says that what he has heard was absolutely true. Also keep in mind that Jason Momoa told a freaking reporter that he could punch him in the face if he was Aquaman, when he already knew he was Aquaman.
Also a possibility. I did see Mario post somewhere, it must have been on Twitter, because that's the only place I would have seen him say this. He said something about there have been reports recently that Warner Brothers was putting out fake stories to see who their moles were, and even actually opened up the possibility, like, I don't know, maybe that's what I've got here, and he stood by it. He said it pretty much said, maybe that's what's going on, I don't know, but I'm standing by this story.
Mm-hmm. And, to be fair to Mario, I am a part of the Revenge of the Fans group over on Facebook, and he did say, like, if it turns out to be untrue, I'm, gonna say, hey, I was wrong, and be a freaking grown-up.
Well, yeah. It's the only thing to do, so, yeah, man, go for it. But no word yes or no. I would have liked word yes or no. I would have liked word yes, frankly, but yes or no would have done.
Oh, you're a fan of the Armie Hammer.
I'd like him for this role.
He does look like I could see Ben Affleck coming from that.
Yeah.
Like he does look like a younger Affleck.
That occurred to me, so it would give me a little bit of like a soft reboot if it's going to be, or maybe even a continuity feel. Also, he does have a, to quote him, glorious chin.
He does, and I
do
don't
think
know
that's
Armie
important
Hammer
for a cowl. You got to stand out beyond the cowl.
You do. I don't know Armie Hammer though from anything.
No, I
don't. I know he's been stuff.
Yeah, I just know how.
I
can envision how he'd look, and I was okay with it. That's it.
I've heard a lot of people say that he's got really great chemistry with Henry Cavill.
Apparently,
because of that movie they were in.
The Man from U.N.C.L.E. is.
Yes,
it's been on my to-do list for forever.
Mm-hmm.
One day, Henry.
Well, since we're entering a new age, a renewed age of who should play Batman next. Mm-hmm. We're officially in that age. I want to read something that's been making the rounds today, in the last couple of days. See if any of this sounds familiar. This is from 1989. This is an article by Frederick S. Clark. Mm-hmm. Batman Caped Crusader casting calamity. According to a Wall Street Journal front page story, comic fans are up in arms over the casting of Michael Keaton in the title role of Warner Brothers' Batman, the most eagerly awaited of a recent flurry of comic book to film adaptations. Mm-hmm. The casting of Keaton, the comedic star of Mr. Mom and Beetlejuice, is objected to by fans because the actor fails to match the stalwart, square-jawed physique of the 40s comic book crime fighter. Supporting their man, Warner Brothers publicists cite the rave reviews Keaton got for his dramatic performance in last summer's Clean and Sober. Fantastic film, by the way. Nevertheless, fans are said to have started a protest letter writing campaign. The $28 million Goober Peters production began filming in London last October under the direction of Tim Burton, who reportedly brought in Beetlejuice script doctor Warren Scarron to revise the noir-drenched, highly acclaimed screenplay by Sam Hamm. So
nothing's changed?
There's nothing new. Yeah. Nothing has changed. Yeah. No one's learned anything. A vast segment of the fan base still claims Keaton as the best Batman. And as much as we have so many DCEU fans out there right now who are saying, I'm not giving any more DCEU movies a chance. Losing Affleck was the worst thing that could happen. There is no other Batman. People are still saying that shit about Keaton.
Yeah. Yeah. The major takeaway from the last few weeks for me has been they have an interesting opportunity in a way. Mm-hmm. where I know, well, we don't know for sure, but it sure as hell seems like all the press has been leaning towards Matt Reeves wants to do younger Batman. Okay, great. No problem with that. Sounds good. Fits in universe. We're doing, both of Wonder Woman's solos are going to be prequels to the present day. So no problems here. Great. But they have to do that right. Like, they've got to find a way, if they're going to keep Batman in universe, they either have to find a way to make us okay with the new casting. I mean, it happens all the time in TV. Somebody's played by somebody else now, and you've just got to deal with that. But
yeah, I mean, the best way to do it is just jump in and move forward.
I mean, yeah.
I'm looking at you, Hulk.
You jump in, no apologies, and you just go for it. Yeah, seriously. But
looking at you, Rhodey.
Look at it, Rhodey. Yeah, that was the next one. You can do that with it. Just go for it. Just don't apologize and say this is what we're doing now. Are you on board or not? Or you can find a way to make it in universe. And to me, there's so many possibilities with comics. So to me, an exciting possibility is, what if you try to make it in universe? Like, I wouldn't mind if we didn't see Batman again until maybe after the Flash movie, and you went ahead and did something Flashpointy.
I used to be on board with that, but the more I think about it, the less I like it. I think it would be dumb to like just come back and be like, well, everything in the universe has changed.
It wouldn't have to be everything.
The same, except for Batman.
Everything's the same. I mean, but you could
everybody
make that,
looks exactly the same, except for Batman.
You could make that a point of the story, though, is that Batman is the instigating factor that changed the Flashpoint universe, like, and make that the reason he's not around anymore. The only problem with that is you'd feel like you had to see the previous version of Batman to do that. But still, I'm curious. I'm just wondering which one they're going to do. I think I'll be a little bit disappointed if they just recast him and move on, because in a comic book universe, I feel like there's a lot of ways you could play it. I don't know. Maybe.
Honestly, I think what they're probably going to do, they're going to have the prequel movie or prequel movie parentheses with an S. Whatever, however many Matt Reeves does.
Right.
With whoever they've cast or they're going to cast as a younger Batman. They're not going to do a team up movie for quite a while in the current timeline.
Oh yeah, that'll be a long time.
And I mean, I think there will be team up movies, but I don't think it's going to be Justice League. I think if they do Batgirl, there might be an allusion to Batman. There might be, if they do a Nightwing, there will be like an allusion to Batman, but we're not going to see him. Or if we do, it's going to be like a Titans season finale type of situation.
Right, a Spectre.
And I don't think they will do a Justice League movie, at the very least, until 1, Green Lantern is established, 2, Flash is better established. I think there will at least be one more Superman movie before that happens, and probably a Wonder Woman 3 and absolutely another Aquaman movie. But most importantly, we're not going to see it until Matt Reeves' Batman is established. And if they need to age him up, they will.
Maybe. Yeah.
But
they might just try to incorporate him and go with it.
Yeah.
It's possible.
Which unfortunately also means that the Legion of Doom is probably just not going to happen.
Yeah, I wrote that one off a long time ago.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, they've got some 20 movies in development, and we could go through each one and just just place bets, which might be fun someday. But that one's no. That one's a solid no. That's right up there with Joker and Harley. No.
Yeah, but I think there'll be plenty of stuff going on with them, or at very least, Harley.
Harley's got plenty going on. The Joker and Harley film,
yeah.
Not feeling that one right now.
Some years ago, Jim Lee came out and said, I think it was 2 or 3 years ago, Jim Lee came out and said the 4 most popular characters in DC Comics: Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, and Harley Quinn.
Ooh, it does feel. Yeah,
it feels right, doesn't it?
It does a little bit, but it also feels wrong to leave Joker out in a way. I
don't think he was talking about right and wrong. He was talking about numbers.
Okay, yeah. If he's talking about numbers,
there's a reason there's consistently a Harley Quinn. Like, Harley Quinn is freaking Wolverine, dude. Like,
yeah, she's always got.
Not only is she in Suicide Squad, she's got her own book.
Yeah, she's always got her own title. It never has problems. You never see a Joker title.
Joker doesn't have his own title. No, because he's Creed Bratton. You don't want to see him more than X amount of times per year. You want his appearances to really mean something.
Yeah. But
that also means, he's not going to be one of the most popular. Like, Harley Quinn is way more popular. She's way more accessible.
This is true. Yeah. And I'm sure he was looking at his sales numbers when he said that, and that would be true. I agree. I'd agree with that. Popularity as far as like people glomming onto it and being iconic, then it gets hard to leave Joker out of that list.
Yeah, and I don't even think that you really have to look at Jim Lee's numbers. You can go to Tumblr and just look at how many hashtags there are. Like,
yeah.
And you can cut Joker right out of there by going, okay, but how many of his are related to Harley? Damn it. All right. Well, yeah.
Oh, that's cute. Even their statistics are codependent.
All right. So, summary of our thoughts there. Give them a minute.
Yeah, always is.
And I am open to whoever they're casting and open to seeing whatever they're doing. I am a little bit hoping for Armie Hammer, just based on looks. I don't know the guy's acting at all.
I really don't. I think me and you were talking about this the other day. Like, I have not been able to fan cast this in my head. But I think that's because I just don't know which angle they're going to take. Like, if they told me, hey, this is going to be a hard reboot of him, we're gonna redo how the universe is working, and we're gonna use these parts of the. I think if I knew the map, if I knew the game plan, I'd be able to kind of point out, oh, okay, that makes sense. I think I'd like.
I don't think they have a game plan.
I'm not sure they do either. They I think if history has taught us anything, they're not sure yet. Although the Hamada regime, I feel like is trying to finally steer this in a direction where they're going to stick to their guns. Like Warner Brothers,
maybe so.
In
more ways than one.
Yeah. I mean, the thing with Warner Brothers has been, it's not been their numbers. Their numbers right now for where they are in their series of films look better than Marvel did at the time.
And I don't think that matters. I think they're looking and going, for the popularity of these characters, we should have gotten more for Batman v Superman.
Yeah, there might be some entitlement
way more
there
for Justice League.
To that extent, and
it's not even entitlement. It's just truth. Like,
well, maybe
they should have like Kevin Smith back on like Fat Man on Batman or whatever back in the day used to talk about like Batman v Superman. There's no way, even if it's the shittiest movie ever, there's no way it doesn't make $2 billion. No, that should have been true.
He deeply underestimated though when you make a property that's that divisive and don't stand behind it, and by stand behind it I mean release the extra 30 minutes that are supposed to be in that film. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can fracture your group really quickly. We learned that. We all learned that together. It was hard. It was a very painful lesson. And if the comparison is like, hey, Marvel took essentially some B-listers and turned them into this multi-billion-dollar property, then yeah, that's one thing. Whereas you're thinking like, dude, it's Superman, it's Batman. Those are the two most universal symbols. I mean, they're up there as far as like you can go into any country you want that you do not speak the language of and hold up the S symbol, and somebody there probably knows the word Superman.
Yeah, but with that comes the onus of expectation.
Yeah, exactly.
Like the B movie characters on Marvel never really had.
Yeah, I mean, I agree there that like maybe there was a thought that if they did this with that, then we should be able to do this with these guys, and maybe that. I think I see that as entitlement, unnecessary entitlement. You're required to put forth the effort and make a good thing. You don't get to just have all that.
Yeah.
But oh man, I mean. It was never a particularly, when you looked at how much they made, how much they spent, it was always a profitable franchise before they started doing it. But when you look at like how much time has passed, Marvel put out more movies in the time that DC has.
Yeah, I agree.
And you can tell based on the run times, based on the expectations, you can tell based on the press from these guys. Like if you just listen to Junkett's speech, you can tell the Marvel people were not being fucked with it at every turn. Warner Brothers
they weren't.
Tinkered until they didn't know what they were doing, and I don't know. I have hope for Hamada that it's not that it's finally going in the right direction because I liked a lot of the films and they did well financially. So I don't mean it that way. I mean the leadership is what I really mean. Like making some films you stand behind and saying this is what we have and putting them out there, man.
Yeah, my biggest hope is that the people in charge now understand the sort of collective expectation for the characters, and and I hope they understand that, and I think they do. I think that's why we're like focusing on lower tier characters now, because they're like, look, they don't have all that.
It was one of the things Marvel did that really benefited them.
Because as much as, and I've seen this floating around, and it's absolutely true, fans do not drive the kind of numbers they wish they did. They just don't.
No.
Like the people who go buy those comic books and know those characters intimately. Such a small percentage. The mainstream mentality.
Yeah, they need GA numbers.
And I knew we were in trouble Batman versus Superman when I kept hearing people say, like, why are they fighting? They're supposed to be friends. Mm-hmm. That's something I heard over and over again from mainstream audience people who I knew did not read the comics. And they would be like, hey, you're a comic book guy. Why is Batman and Superman fighting? That doesn't make sense. I went, shit.
Yeah, that was troublesome. And there's not a lot of nuance to that thinking, but it's not their fault. It's not their fault that they haven't been reading these books. They still like the characters. They like them insofar as they can, will, or are able to. But it's not your fault that you haven't sat there and read, Dark Knight Returns and gone down the Frank Miller hole. For you like this character. You liked him when you've seen him. You liked, Batman the Animated Series when you were growing up. You didn't really get to read all the stuff going, but you still have versions of these characters in your head. Mm-hmm. And it was asking a lot. It really was asking a lot for everybody to go down that hole with him. And the thing that still angers me a little bit, it was you did hear that going in, a lot of that going in, and you saw the trailers and you thought, well, I mean, there's a lot here that looks neat, but still, what are we doing? But then when you looked at the actual box office, they did fine. A lot of people saw this movie, and when you looked at the general audience ratings on it, a lot of people liked this movie. They got it once they saw it, but it was still a thing where, like, even general audience people I've told, like, just casuals, the filthy casuals, just casual dudes, man, have told me over and over again, well, I mean, I liked it for the most part, but it was a bit weird. And then they'll tell me, like, oh, well, this happened with this guy, and I couldn't tell what was going on. And I'll be like, look, I will buy you this movie. Like, go watch it with the extra 30 minutes. I will literally purchase this for you.
Yeah.
And they've come back invariably. Everyone I've done this to has come back and told me, all right, you're right, that made a lot more sense. That was a better movie. Mm-hmm. So the only way they cheated themselves was not trusting their own product. That's what it's told me looking at the history of it.
Yeah, I think everyone had an expectation, including Warner Brothers, and they gouged themselves with that expectation of how much money they were going to make, and they reacted poorly to what they did receive. Instead of going, oh, we screwed up and took out 30 minutes, they went, we have to change everything.
Yeah, there was no spine happening. I'm hoping.
Anyway,
it's
Aquaman Numbers.
Still killing it.
Still killing it. Still. It has passed BVS at the domestic box office. Mm-hmm. It's almost at 332 million domestically. BVS did 330.3 million. And it is now slid into the 20th spot in the top 20 highest grossing movies of all time.
Jesus. Least likely person you would have thought of.
Right. I mean, I just went and saw it again. It was fantastic. I liked it better the second time.
Nice. I have been warning people. It's been my personal PSA for the last few days. I've been telling people, like, hey, this weekend's coming up. I don't know what you had planned, but there's only a few weekends left. It's going to be rainy around here anyway. Don't expect to do anything in the yard. You only got a few weekends left of Aquaman being in the theater. Why don't you go see that movie, buddy?
Yeah, yep. And I'm really hoping that Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse sticks around, because I really want to go see that in the theater. And I'm not sure how much longer I've got on that. I know it's still up here at the Regal 16, but...
I didn't have expectations for actually getting to theater on that. I will watch that one, though. For sure, I will watch that one.
Yeah. All right. So, Birds of Prey. They've cast How I Met Your Mother's Charlene's Amoia in Birds of Prey. She's going to be Maria Bertinelli, this Huntress's mother, who is the wife of a mafia member, her father, Franco. If you're unfamiliar with Helena's story, or Helena. Helena is the Huntress.
Yeah.
And this actress, I can't imagine she's going to be around much in Birds of Prey, because I don't think I've ever seen a version of Huntress where her mother was kind of around.
I've got nothing. Every time the story's about her and her dad.
Yeah, but the actress, I liked her in How I Met Your Mother. She was Wendy the waitress. Had a couple of fun stories in that show.
Yeah, true.
So over the Suicide Squad, which is the James Gunn sequel.
Yeah.
Soft reboot sequel, whatever it is.
We'll see.
Last week, I didn't mention this because I didn't buy it. But Mark Hughes at Forbes, I always want to call him Mark Forbes. Mm-hmm. Mark Hughes at Forbes, in his giant State of the Union DCEU edition editorial, had stated that, according to his sources, Suicide Squad, the Suicide Squad was not going to have Harley Quinn, and I was like, we'll see.
Right.
I'm not even going to talk about that. That's horseshit. And he has retracted that. He says, I have learned from sources close to production that, in fact, the information about Harley Quinn being absent from the new Suicide Squad movie is no longer up to date. She is indeed expected to appear in James Gunn's The Suicide Squad, which is expected to begin production later this year. Makes all the sense in the world. Thank you, God. I don't care if anyone comes back except for Amanda Waller and Harley Quinn. Those are the two that have to come back for the Suicide Squad.
For continuity, I get it. For continuity, I get it. Like you said before, the Suicide Squad is a reboot property. That's what they do. It's called a Suicide Squad. People don't come back.
That's right, but they do.
But they do, and they're ongoing personnel, and I get that. And I think we also said, I think her contract stated that she was due for another Suicide Squad movie, but that didn't mean the director. Like James Gunn wasn't obligated by that. He didn't have to shove her in there.
No,
they could let her off the hook if they didn't want her, but
yeah, I don't know if they came to him and said, "Oh no, you don't understand. This has to happen." She's the reason people went to see Suicide Squad, which I absolutely believe, 100%, without a shadow of a doubt.
No, three things.
The vast majority of people went to go see Harley Quinn.
Well, I say three things. I think it was four things. One, it was still in the universe, and there were a lot of people that just liked BVS just fine, so they went to go see the next movie and didn't really know. Two, Margot Robbie was huge. She's huge. She was huge when we went into this, and she was bigger afterwards. Three's got to be Will Smith.
I don't think he holds it in nearly as much weight as everybody thinks he does.
I think he does. I think he does because everybody thinks he does. It may be circular, but he does.
Tell that to After Earth.
I know. He even had to recover for that. I get it. But dude always bounces back. He is Will damn Smith, man. He always finds a way back. I do.
He does.
And I forgot what number 4 was on my list, but forget it. We'll figure it out later. See, I was taken in by the idea of Will Smith so much I forgot my next thought. It'll come back to me or it won't. Fuck it. But I do love the idea that, I get what you're saying. Amanda Waller and Harley Quinn, that's enough to build a rumor. Oh, Joker. Good God, Joker. That was it. It came back to me. The idea of the Joker even being represented is another reason people came to that film.
But I think the reaction to Leto's Joker actually hurt Suicide Squad. I think it hurt this performance.
Maybe afterwards, and maybe a little bit after the first couple weeks, but a lot of people wanted to go at least see. Like, well, it's a Joker. Let's see. Because their last experience with was Heath Ledger, and he knocked it so far out of the park, no one's ever found that baseball again.
Yeah. I would love to see what the actual numbers were on that. Like, how much how much the detraction hurt, and how much people actually because I knew a lot of people who liked the way Joker looked and thought he was a cool new take. And it was people who were not comic book fans. They were, the filthy cash.
I still don't like the word filthy. Damn it, you're fine. You're okay being casual.
You know what? The filthy cash aren't listening to this.
It's also true. It's also true. But for a lot of people, especially the first week they had good numbers. The second week it was bad. It was like 40% drop. It was a serious drop. Third week the legs got knocked out a little bit more. Like it went precipitously down for normal box office numbers. And you'd have to do some studies, man. You would have had to have been there with some charts and asked some people on point at the time, hey, what was going on? Why didn't you see this movie? I would need a Gallup poll to get that shit together. Impossible data, I think, to actually retrieve. But because it was a combination of circumstances. But I think those 4 got people in, and a combination of those 4 not working out for some people got people out, or kept people out. But the one thing I'll say about you, I agree. Amanda Waller, key, because she was one of the more compelling. She was the villain of that movie, first of all.
Oh, absolutely.
And a very compelling figure in the movie. 2, we all know Margot has to be there. She doesn't. James Gunn has a lot of talent. Who knows what he would have up his sleeve, but we'd all like to see her there again. Let's put it that way. And, dude, I do think...
I would say I would rather see her than if they had to choose one. Waller is what I choose.
Maybe. It'd keep the continuity. Because then she could just form a new Suicide Squad out of whoever the hell she feels like.
Of course, we could do a thing where, like, Amanda Waller is really like a code name, like 007.
Yeah.
You know, like James Bond.
Right.
Yeah, like they people theorize that is.
Right.
And just, like, you know, have a different actress every time.
Yeah. It would work for me. I would be fine with that. That'd be a soft reboot for me, but I'd take it. But
I don't want that. I want Davis.
I enjoyed him in the role, man. I think Will Smith not coming back is just leaving something on the table that you could definitely use.
Well, I'm not sure it's even their choice, you know? I mean, they were talking about even doing a Deadshot movie, but, you know, if you look back at Suicide Squad, his story was wrapped up pretty well.
Yeah, he could go home. He could go home just fine, and I don't think it would affect... Even if everyone else was there and he wasn't, I think that you could just say, you know, he's happy and we'd all be happy for him. But I just liked him in the role. I wouldn't mind seeing a little more footage of him playing Deadshot.
I wouldn't mind seeing more of Jai Courtney. I don't think we'll get him, but I liked his character enough.
You know, one of the things about something like a Suicide Squad is these aren't the highest paid actors. Like, they may be free. Who knows? Mm-hmm. I don't know what Jai Courtney's up to, but he might actually be free for a couple months here and there. I don't think he's that booked. Maybe. And
you know, what's his face said he wanted to be in it.
Who? Whose face?
Dave Bautista.
Oh, hell yeah. Bring him on.
Yeah.
Let me see. Actor. Yeah, Jai Courtney's got 5 announced movies in 2019. Yeah, hey, maybe he is full.
Yeah, he might be.
But seriously, he's got 2015 3 credits, 2016 2 credits, 2017 1 credit, and 2019 he's suddenly got 6 things on IMDb.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, maybe he's just on a bounce back. But sorry, I don't mean anything by it. But maybe he's free.
As far as I'm concerned, he'll always be a McClane.
That's fine.
I'm just kidding. I didn't hate that Die Hard movie that I can't remember the title of. A Good Day to Die Hard. I didn't say I loved it, but I can't say I loved it, but I didn't have a problem with him.
So many movies like that. Well, it wasn't his fault. But...
All right, so I'm open to whatever they're doing with the Suicide Squad, but I really hope those people come back. I think it would be stupid not to have Harley come back. Period.
Yeah,
it would just be really dumb. Will Smith is debatable for me. I understand it's not for you. That's awesome. But
it's not a non-negotiable for me. I'm not boycotting the film.
Right.
I'm just saying.
No.
More. I honestly,
yeah, I mean,
if they brought everybody back, I'd be happy with it.
I would be,
except for Diablo. Not his fault. It's just the story seemed to wrap up there, and I'd like the death to stay a death, just for death's sake.
How much fun would it be if somehow Waller got a hold of Lobo?
Oh God!
I don't even know how that would happen.
I don't either.
I would love the idea of, like, maybe Lobo's just playing around. Like, she's like, yeah, we put the chip in his head, he's going to blow up. And then, like, he actually does eventually revolt, and she tries to blow it up, and it just, like, you see, like, a little poof come out from behind his neck, and he's like, hey, hey, hey.
Well, he's got a ridiculous growth factor, but he's not, like, invulnerable. I mean, his skin's pretty good. But he would die for, like, a minute, and then just kind of get up and probably grab his cigar before the thing had even puffed out on him.
Yeah, I mean,
be on his way.
I'm okay with being fluid on the powers. Like, I'm not a stickler for how things work in X comic or whatever it is. Fine. You know, I mean, Superman went from juggling planets to not being able to lift a car without grunting.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you worry about, like, well, he had this power, he doesn't now. I just want to bring up super ventriloquism. That's a thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's a thing.
Tiny Superman flying out of Superman's hand. That was a thing. That was a power.
So the world got a little weird here and there, guys. Also, you could put enough makeup on him that I maybe wouldn't care. But if Jason Momoa played Aquaman and Lobo in the same universe, I wouldn't raise an eyebrow because it would be fantastic.
I thought about that the other day when we were watching Aquaman. I was like,
dude would make a great Lobo. You barely have to make up him. Just like, he looks that kind of enraged at all times. Like I get that he feels like the kind of guy who literally wakes up, opens his eyes at 5:30 in the morning, hits his alarm clock, shoots up in the bed and yells "Hell yeah!" at the top of his lungs. And just starts his day.
I hate to say it, and I know this sounds weird, and this is going to be like me being like the comic book purist in me, which is not. But
You just said.
I really would like to see Aquaman with like clean shaven and short haired. I want to see Momoa do that. I wonder if he would.
I think you could rock that.
Even if they had like a comment in the movie about how he like hates it, and Mira's like, "You're the king now. Shut up. You have to look like a king. The other kings didn't look like."
Yeah. Hey, I wouldn't fight it. I mean, he can he can pull a Thor. Knock that off. Be fine.
Yeah.
And for Momoa and in his personal life, if you shaved him down to like clean shaven and cut his hair to number 8 clippers or something like that, I still think he'd probably be back out to Momoa in like 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you're not gonna. He's not gonna make him like not hot or something.
Yeah, he's still gonna be plenty fuckable. Don't worry about it.
Anyway, moving on. So Michael B. Jordan actually responded to those Superman rumors, and he says, I hate being a businessman and understanding both sides of the situation. There's a huge upside to it, but being under that microscope, being picked apart and compared to so many different versions of Superman, I would rather do something original. I'll be Calvin Ellis. That's kind of a deep cut. Calvin Ellis is the Earth 23 Superman that Grant Morrison introduced in Final Crisis.
Oh yeah. All right.
I have an action figure of Calvin Ellis on my Superman shelf, one of my Superman shelves.
All right. Yeah, I'll take that.
He's in between a Cavill Superman and a Darwin Cook Superman.
That is a deep pull.
I'll take a picture of that and put it in the show notes for you guys. But yeah, that's a lot of fun. And
that is respect for a deep pull, and wouldn't mind that shit at all.
I would. Yeah, no, let's do that. I would love to see that.
Yeah, great actor.
Yeah, Michael B. Jordan could play whatever the hell he wants, as far as I'm concerned. I don't care.
Yeah, some people every time you see him, you think, well, that was 100% good. He did nothing wrong. There we go.
All right. So here's a little bit. Someone asked after Snyder's farewell to Ben Affleck, some fans asked him about what might have been if they were going to do an adaptation of Flashpoint. And Snyder said, better. So
Mighty bold of you, Snyder.
Right? Ruminate on that, Snyder fans. I'm a Snyder fan, and I ruminate on it, but I don't dwell on it. You know what I mean? That's all I'm saying. Don't dwell.
I mean, Flashpoint was coming. Flashpoint was one hell of a story.
Flashpoint was one hell of a story. And I don't think they could have done it, properly.
Nah.
Without having, a lot more setup. But, I mean, who knows by the time... I think there was definitely room to do a really good version of it. But I don't think that... I mean, apparently that's not where he was going anyway, so...
I think he had... I really do think he had talked to people at least. Like, Jeffrey Dean Morgan... The way he talked about things in interviews, I really do think he was talking to people.
Oh, yeah.
And was excited about it.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there's been a lot of hubbub over this 5-part plan. Some people have said it was a 6-part plan, where we know that we already know that Snyder's admitted that it was going to end with the death of Batman and Lois and Clark having a kid and naming him Bruce, etc.
Right.
But I mean, who knows? He may have changed that with a Flashpoint movie, because we know that we know that he was talking about some kind of Flashpoint situation, because he cast Thomas Wayne with that in mind.
Right.
So anyway.
Yeah, it was lost to the sands of time now.
Lost to the sands of time. Though, I will say, and I don't think I ever got a response or anything, but I told Zack Snyder on Vero, I said, dude, please find a way to put all of this into a graphic novel form, and if you can, get Lee Bermejo to draw it.
No, that's not a bad call. Yeah, that is fantastic.
That would be fantastic. All right, over to TV.
Like him or Jock would really, really fit their style pretty well.
I'm not sure I agree with the Jock thing. I like Jock, but I don't think I want him involved with that specifically.
No, I could get behind it. Or Capullo.
Capullo I could see, but even that, I don't feel like they're quite as epic as I want that to look. Like,
you still want Bermejo.
I feel like
I'm not
Bermejo,
even disagreeing necessarily.
Yeah,
Bermejo would be great.
I think it would have to be I can't imagine it being anything but painted. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like
Actually, that's a good point.
To fit the Snyder aesthetic.
That's actually a really good point. That would be a lot of fun. Let Zack Snyder go off the rails with his script, unleashed, go crazy. Here's whatever you want to do, and then Alex Ross.
Oh God, yeah.
That would be so weird because that is just a very different aesthetic normally. I mean, Alex Ross illustrates Superman Peace on Earth, and you think, well, this is the most gorgeous thing. I'm going to weep on the pages of this book, and because the aesthetic fits so well, he makes these grandiose characters, and have his characters do the stuff Snyder was talking about. Oh, it would be so weird, tonally strange.
He does, he does really good likenesses. Like he's done covers for Batman 66 meets Green Hornet. And,
his likenesses are great. But his the Alex Ross universe of how these characters look.
It's all just based on the Silver Age.
Yeah, but it's so. God, everyone's chest is like the size of a 5-gallon drum, and you got a chin that fills up a page. They're so big. Like that, just looking at his Superman or his Batman kind of like tells you get a whole backstory just staring at the guy. Like,
yeah,
it's fascinating. I'd love to see the combination. Never gonna happen.
No. Over to television, we got a. First of all, let me just go ahead and say we're going to talk about Gotham for just a second, and I'm not going to actually go into what all they're putting out because they are putting out lots of trailers, lots of things teasing the future of Jeremiah, the future of Bruce. And I wish I hadn't seen them, so I'm not going to put you through that, nor you, dear listener.
I've avoided them pretty hard, so I appreciate it.
Yeah.
It takes real effort to be as avoidant as I am.
And even more effort to make sure I don't spoil those things for you.
Yep. By the way, I just looked at IMDb's Gotham. They have Gotham listed at exactly 100 episodes.
Yep.
We'd been wondering about the math, how it was going to shake out. Like, well, they're going to be just over, just under, blah 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 blah. No, they've got it right at.
I noticed that earlier.
That's funny.
Actually, with this announcement, Fox announced on Wednesday that Gotham: The Complete Series is going to be available to purchase on Blu-ray and DVD just a couple of months. You can also actually already pre-order it. It's $112.99 on Blu-ray and $99.99 on DVD. And it's going to include all 100 episodes of Gotham.
What a round, wonderful number.
They're also doing the standalone Season 5. It's going to be $29.98 on Blu-ray, $24.98 on DVD. And they've got some best moments at New York Comic Con 2018 and modern mythology through the eyes of the producers and cast. This piece explores the final chapter of the series as the show pushes Bruce Wayne to finally accept his destiny. And they have some deleted scenes. That's going to be the special features. So, I think that's the first complete series set we get to actually announce as far as modern shows, the shows that we started covering.
Oh, I'll be damned. You are correct. It's also maybe the first show that we've been covering since its inception, or since our inception, that is wrapping up the way it wanted to.
I wouldn't argue that.
What else?
Well, because there's a lot of, or at least some evidence that the producers had a 7-season plan, so I don't think they're wrapping up like they wanted to.
Well,
but they are getting to wrap, which is important, and
I'll take your
really
wording,
good concession.
Still, I'll take your wording, but the point is still the same.
Yeah, at least they're getting to wrap up.
Yeah,
in some way. Over to Batwoman, we talked about this, about David Nutter being the director for the pilot, and he's not anymore. He's stepping down for personal reasons. And he's still going to be a producer, but Marcos Sega, I guess, or Sega, of the Vampire Diaries is going to be directing the pilot for Batwoman now. Here's something funny, though. They've cast Dougray Scott as Colonel Jacob Kane is who he's playing. He's the father of Kate Kane / Batwoman. This is why it's funny to me. Dougray Scott is a guy who basically, this guy is responsible for Hugh Jackman being the sexiest man alive so many times. Well, that and Hugh Jackman's trainer.
Yeah.
Dougray Scott was the person that Bryan Singer hired to be Wolverine. And then he stepped aside because it didn't line up with his schedule on Mission Impossible 2, and he chose Mission Impossible 2.
That's right.
He chose to play a generic villain in the worst film of the Mission Impossible franchise.
That's right. I recall
he knew
him
it was
now.
going to be the worst, but no, he didn't know it was going to be the worst. And that decision, I feel like, and this is probably, not completely accurate, but this is how I enjoy thinking about it.
Mm-hmm.
That decision led him to the CW.
My God, that might be accurate. Well, let's see. Let's see. No, he's got some Desperate Housewives in him. That lasted a while. Some Heist. There's Mission Impossible 2 in 2000. Did one film a year for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing I recognize. Really, something called Heist. Had a bit going on there. 7 episodes of a TV series. That doesn't bode well. Desperate Housewives for a couple seasons. That was a real thing, at least. A TV movie called Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. That's never good.
Not historically, no.
Really not seen anything I recognize up until... it snuck in with the Doctor Who. 2013. We're now how many years removed from Mission Impossible? 13 years away.
2000?
Yeah, 13 years away from Mission Impossible. Slips back in with Hemlock Grove. I heard that was good. Didn't see it.
Mm-hmm.
That's a couple years. A couple episodes of Fear the Walking Dead. Not even The Walking Dead. All right, now he's getting full TV stuff. Full Circle. Replacement. Again, I don't know. TV miniseries, TV series. I don't know. Don't know those guys.
Well, look,
Woman in White. Something called Snatch, the TV series. I presume that's off the movie. Who knows?
Maybe.
I don't know that you're wrong. I don't know that you're wrong about this.
Mission Impossible 2 was the only thing I've ever seen him in. I knew his name because of X-Men, because they cast him as Wolverine. They announced it. It was announced. I went, oh, I don't know that guy at all.
Mm-hmm.
And then the news came down. Oh, Dougray Scott's not going to be Wolverine. He's stepping aside because he wants to be in Mission Impossible 2. I went, okay, well, whatever. I guess, Batman and Robin did his number on comic book movies and their reputation.
You know what, though? Looking at his before, he didn't really have much going on.
Oh, no, absolutely not.
I mean, another 9.5 weeks. That was a thing. Really, there was not a lot before. I think it's funny that he did something as he did English version voice for a movie called Space Armageddon in 1996. And then where is it? And then 1998, plays a role in Deep Impact.
Oh, hated that movie.
Essentially Space Armageddon with Morgan Freeman, if I remember.
Mm-hmm. I felt bad for Deep Impact, kind of, because it came out, I think, before Armageddon.
It was like right there. They were neck and neck. It was weird.
And then, Armageddon was just,
well, they had
way
Aerosmith.
more popular.
Yeah.
Way more popular.
And Aerosmith and Ben Affleck. And
yeah.
Bruce Willis. Yeah. They never had a chance. Poor Deep Impact.
It was Deep Impact was we have Tay Leone.
Anyway, he didn't really have much going on. I think this might have been looking at his IMDb and knowing nothing other than being able to look at it and knowing what I recall. It looks like that was maybe a moment where, he could have gone an entirely different direction.
Yeah.
And he might have just passed up a huge opportunity.
And I don't know if it was the directing or the writing or what it was. I know that I did not like Mission Impossible 2, and I was very dubious about Mission Impossible 3, but I did like Mission Impossible 3. I love 1 and 3. They're both really good, and I've never watched another one. And of course, that's when they started bringing in friggin' Simon Pegg, so I've been trying to convince Bethany to go back and watch all of them with me.
He's a big pull. He's a big pull for us.
And I'm probably just not going to do it unless she does it with me, because I'm just I don't want to sit here and watch a movie and not be able to, make fun of it by myself.
Here's the closest I'll get to a boycott ever. Is if I can find a way to watch it wherein Paramount makes no money, I might, and I will still resent it because of the damn mustache debacle.
I'm in an unfortunate situation. Not right now, because nothing's happening with that right now, but I'll watch whatever Star Trek they put out.
Oh, yeah. Okay, you're stuck a little bit. I get it. I don't have that going on, so I don't have anything pulling me that hard, and I'm still so mad about how that went down that I'm okay just avoiding the entire thing.
But yeah, Mission Impossible 2, I didn't care for the movie, and I'm sure, the action scenes looked pretty. The cinematography was fantastic. Other than that, I hated it. Hated every moment of it.
Yeah, don't recall even that much about it. No idea.
Well, okay, it was silly. It was really silly. Like, it took when you look at the first Mission Impossible movie, it was pretty damn good, and then the second movie was, like, really pretty, but, like, why does Tom Cruise have long hair? Why does he keep flying around in slow motion with doves flying around him? Like, every time he does anything in the movie, it feels like there are, like, freaking white doves flying from, like, the bottom corner of the screen past him. And
nice.
I'm like...
Nice.
It was silly. But I don't remember being at all impressed by Dougray Scott and his performance. In fact, I remember walking out of the theater and looking at my aunt and saying, that was a dodged bullet. And she says, what? And I was like, that dude was almost Wolverine. Who? The bad guy. Oh, him? I'm like, yes, he was almost Wolverine.
Oh, poor guy.
So anyway, we'll see how he does. Hopefully he's grown as an actor. He is...
hopefully you like him more at least.
Yeah, he's a former military colonel here, with a chip on his shoulder for Batman, they're reporting. He's now commanding Gotham's private security firm, the Crows, and he has made it his mission to protect this city better than the Dark Knight ever could. And his unwavering disdain for vigilantes puts him at odds with Batwoman. In the comic book, he is more of an ally. He's the guy in the chair. He's, I'm assuming... eventually she will out herself, or he'll find out that she's Batwoman, and they will get to that point in the relationship. Might be a season or two down the line, like with Paul Blackthorne. What was his name? Quentin on Arrow.
Quentin.
I think it'll probably eventually get to that point.
Yeah, based on the CW history. I'm also okay with just versions where in Persona they work together, just because it's easier and they can achieve stuff. So.
All right, so this was like a little bit that dropped today, and it's not really news, but it's nice to know he's down. Phil Morris, who played Martian Manhunter on Smallville, says he loves John Jones, and he thought he was so fantastic, so he would love to be in Crisis on Infinite Earths on the CW.
Yep, no objection here. Bring it on.
He says if they were to ask, he would show up in a heartbeat.
Yep.
And he's also playing Silas Stone, Cyborg's father, on Doom Patrol. Mm-hmm. So there's that.
Oh, that'd be great. Just because if you did that, you could you could just say you had incorporated all of these universes in one fell swoop.
Mm-hmm. That was I loved Phil Morris's version of that character, and I really wanted more of him.
I did enjoy him. Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
So, I wasn't going to include this until the last line, and I said, damn it, Alan Tudyk, damn it.
Oh, yeah.
So, we know Alan Tudyk played the cousin of Bruce Wayne in Powerless. Mm-hmm. And as that character, he was in charge of the R&D department, and they focused on finding technological solutions to problems
the insurance department, yes, sure.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
They live in a world with superheroes. They're trying to find solutions for that. And
that's also one of the shows that we briefly mentioned and or covered that did not get to wrap up.
That did not get to wrap up, no. And Adam West did appear on an episode, and that actually aired after his death. Mm-hmm. And Alan Tudyk was talking a little bit about Adam West, and he says he was very generous. He was very nice to me, and he was very cool parodying himself. He would do that narrator. He had all of those big words like the old Batman show. But then, like, it would be revealed that he's talking to a plant. Why is he talking to that plant? But he was very nice. It was weird that he passed away so soon after that, because he was there all day. I'm not saying that Powerless killed him, but I think it's a possibility.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's dark and fantastic. That's good.
I was like, oh, good. Alan Tudyk's saying nice things about Adam. What?
Alan Tudyk will never work on NBC again. Hope Dumbledore works out.
Oh,
that's
I do
fantastic,
love that, man.
That really is.
Alan Tudyk's like, I don't care if I'm never on NBC again. NBC is almost not on NBC anymore.
That's also true.
I have streaming.
Yeah. Yeah. They have not been the same since the old, Scrubs office days.
No. And even if you really want to, jump
for a while.
in,
They had the best lineup in a while. It was like, my name is Earl, Scrubs, Office. It was hard to beat.
They did, but My Name is Earl never really made too much in the ratings. Like they've been struggling since Seinfeld left. Like Seinfeld, Frasier, and Friends, they all went away, and then all of a sudden,
yeah, that was the golden
my God.
age. That was the golden age, especially in numbers.
All right, so one last thing. They released a trailer for the new DC Superhero Girls, and they gave a premiere date as March 8th. The trailer looks fantastic.
It didn't look bad. I mean, I'm not going to watch it right now, but every time I see something like that, I think, awesome. I'm going to bank that. It's going to be streaming somewhere in a few years. I'm going to show my daughter. We're going to see how this goes.
That is exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm going to try to keep on top of where that is and be like, hey.
I'll find it. I'll find it at some point.
Got to get my niece on that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, let's be fair. Honestly, I'm going to have to get on that myself because it looked funny. It looked funny, and I kind of want to send pictures of it, like screenshots to Melissa Benoist and go, do your hair like this. Because that Supergirl, I liked her hair.
Nice. The last line of it really cracked me up. Barry, what happened? I don't know.
Honestly, I'm as surprised as you are.
I'm surprised as you are. That was good.
Yeah, it looks fun. It looks
Actually,
funny.
The other line that cracked me up was Supergirl trying to fly through, I forget what his name is. One of those giant entities that's malformed.
Mm-hmm.
Something about every time she flies through him, just let me punch you or something like that. I don't know. Made me laugh though.
There was a premise in the description that made me laugh. I think it was I want to say it was Batgirl goes to a Gotham con, a convention, and her best friend there that she goes to the con with is Harley Quinn, and they don't realize who the other person is.
Nice.
It just sounds delightful. It sounds fun and something silly to throw on and chuckle at.
Oh yeah.
That's it. That's all I got.
Well, that's been fun.
I thought it's been fun.
Yeah. I don't think I had anything to add.
Yeah. That was I want to be very clear with this. We had 6 pages. There's going to be some editing done, so it's going to be a little shorter than this, but the time right now is we're an hour and 26 minutes in.
Yeah.
So that's just
that happens sometimes.
A testament to our gift of gab.
Gift is the
All
operable word.
Mm-hmm. And also the incredibly subjective one.
Yeah. Hashtag
thank you guys
give
so
them a
much.
minute.
They gave us more than a minute.
Right.
Thank you guys so much for listening, and you girls too. I never want that to seem exclusive, or it's just the way I talk. I'm sorry.
For
DC.
The area we're from, guys means everybody. It literally does not mean any gender specific role.
Actually, I think the area we're from, they would have said y'all.
Yeah, it's true, y'all.
And y'all it sounds hickish. It sounds like it's like a redneck thing. And, I know the reputation the South has, but really, y'all is the nicest word ever because it is really all-inclusive. Y'all includes gay, straight, male, female,
anyone between any
transgender,
of those?
Everybody. It literally means you all.
Yeah. You lot.
It is the most progressive word in the English language.
Coming from the least likely place.
Alabama.
Yeah.
Anyway, DCOnscreen.com. Every episode, I'm gonna have that. I can't do it in the actual feed, but I can throw it up online. We'll have a picture of my little Superman shelf here in the show notes, and with the Calvin, and
Well, Calvin, I completely forgot about it until Michael B. Jordan schooled us.
Oh God. I love that he knows him. I love that he knows him and wants to play him.
Honestly, I don't care if he just asked a friend of his and that friend told him about it and he spit that out there. Somebody in his circle knows him. That's cool.
No, he's a comic book guy.
Is he? Good.
Yeah, he is. Patreon.com/DC on Screen if you want to hop over there and sign up for the things that we haven't posted yet, but we will. And
that's just a matter of time.
Yep, and I'll try to remember to have a link to the Facebook group if you want to come and join that as well. Until next time, what are we doing? Do you know what we're doing? What are we doing, just news?
I think it's just news. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, Doom Patrol premiered. Everything else is kind of on it's coasting. Yeah, we're just news.
Yeah. And honestly, like, the reason I think we did a news episode this week is because Ben Affleck came out and said, I'm not Batman. Like, otherwise, we might have just done a review.
Yeah, it was kind of light.
So,
but there's
if
a lot
it
going on
continues
there.
in this trend, yeah, we clearly had a lot to say about it.
Yeah,
so.
that occupied us for at least an hour and a half.
What the hell's wrong with us?
I don't know. I don't know.
All right, we're either going to do news or a review, but we'll be back next week or this coming week. Whatever you want to say.
Pending? We're pending.
We are pending. Keep some DC on your screen.
Bye.
Our opening narration was from Dan Jurgens' The History of the DC Universe, Part 3 of 10, as featured in DC 52, Week 4. It was performed by me, David C. Robertson. Intro music by Jason Goss and Michael Shackelford. Michael's band, Future Elevators, could be found on Spotify or future-elevators.com. Our introduction was performed by Effie Oppelders of the fantastic podcast Stealing the Remote, which lives on SoundCloud. It can also be found on iTunes and Stitcher. We are proudly in partnership with TV Time, the TV show calendar and social media site that lets you keep track of what you're watching, what your friends are watching, and where you all left off. DC On Screen is a maladjusted production. Visit maladjusted.tv for more from me and Jason, including sketch comedy, an improvised web series, vlogs, parodies, and more.